Right guys, not good news. I've absolutely buggered my pull start. So first of all, I was just yanking it, trying to give it a good old tug to get it going, and then the actual rope pulled through the handle. Now, then it kind of retracted into here, and then kind of I saw a little bit loose flapping out here. So I fed that back through there, out of there, back into here, which took me an absolute age. Managed to do it literally like by burning this end off because it was all frayed. Burning it, put a bit of wire through it, some welding kind of like MIG flux core wire, and then kind of threaded the wire through there, and like, you know, I kind of put it through here, poked it through as this side was on down here still, and then poked the wire through, pulled the wire. We kind of got it to about the stage where it's just down there. And then I got some long nose pliers and kept twisting this around as I was kind of twisting this to get this part hard. So I kind of was pushing this side with my thumb and finger, whilst with the long nose pliers actually pinching this part that kept crumbling and just, you know, pulling it. Anyway, finally got it through, put a new knot on it, and it was kind of like hanging about there, and then pulled, and then it didn't retract. Literally just got this nice bit of rope hanging. So what we've done, so we've got to fully recondition the pull start now, which wasn't counting on that, but it will give us a bit of experience on how the mechanism works. So this video is basically, cut a long story short, it's how to recondition, or how to fix, I guess, your pull start on your Yamaha 9.9 4-stroke engine. I'm pretty sure this applies to the 15s, maybe the 8s, and whatever, you know, where there's a similar recoil mechanism. I've done this before on a 2-stroke Mercury 25, and it was a bit of an absolute pain in the butt, but this is a totally different mechanism. So we're going to have a look at that and take you along for this journey. Hopefully it's not too painful. Yeah, bear with me, guys. Firstly, there's only 3 nuts to take off. One here, and one at the back. They're 10mm sockets. Once those are off, you've got to take this. This is the choke linkage. You take that off of here, which is just quite simple, really. This is usually in this position here. You see, in that part kind of clicks into that hole there, and this bit of flexi plastic here grips around here. So it's just a case of kind of popping it out, basically. So now that's free. The only thing that we're connected now is the gear shifter, like that. No, that's not, hang on. Yeah, I believe, yeah, this gear shifter, for some reason, is the cable's going up here, which is very bizarre, because I thought that was going to be connected to a rod or something that goes down and, you know, selects the gears. It doesn't, for some strange reason. So I guess it's a lucky thing, because I didn't really want to start playing around with any gearing. So basically that comes off of there, and you've got access to the flywheel, which is kind of cool. And yeah, simply, but got to work out how this mechanism works to start with. I'm pretty sure it won't be too difficult to figure out, but yeah, easy to get to this stage anyway. Like I said, three nuts and the linkage, and now I'm kind of procrastinating whether I should undo this and free this off completely, which is probably the best thing to do, to be honest with you. Just unhook that clip. Obviously pay attention to how this is all set up in this static position, neutral. Very, very intricate piece of engineering here, with a few plastic knobbles. Yeah, I don't think that's one of Yamaha's best designs, to be honest with you. Anyway, here's what it is. Decided to go for it. I've unhooked this gear shifter cable. Still no idea why it's just connected to the pull start, to be honest with you. But it was quite simple. It's just like a bike brake. This part was actually in there like that, but obviously under tension because that spring there was attached to this part here, hooked on there. So all you got to do is pull this until you get that wire at that position. Then you just lift it out of that slot, and then that's completely, well, that'll be hooked on there, around there. So you just unhook that part. Then I thought we were going to be free, but no, we've got one more thing to do. So lift off. Sorry about the wind again. Yeah, lift this free, and can you see there's going to be just this little thing here, this connection here, which is, I believe, it's just like it's an LED light. So it's just a screw. You unscrew that, it'll pop out, and then we'll be away. Oh my God! Hey, got the old umbrella on us now. Jesus Lord. Okay, we're stuck. Okay. Might have to cut this video. Oh my. Right, off we go then. See you later, Parasol. Woo. It's that hurricane season in the UK, apparently. See you later, Brolly. Right, anyway, that was back to the video, sorry. So this needs to just unscrew, and then we're going to be free, and then I'm just going to take that inside and have a little look at this mechanism and do it under less windy, dangerous conditions. Right, where did we get up to? Okay, so we are dismantling the pull cord because the recoil's buggered. So the spring underneath all of this, the spring is obviously like come off its seat and is uncoiled or something. So anyway, once you've got this main unit off, you have to get this kind of cup off. So again, it's just a 10mm. Undo that. Make sure you've got the old safety specs on, because if this pops out, the spring might pop out because it might be on tension still or something. It might twang out and smash you in the face. So you obviously don't want that. But yeah, there's a tiny little kind of washer underneath there, and this clip here, can you see this kind of pin here comes around here, and then it goes through a kind of another springy pin thing here. So undo this, pull this off. This clip here goes that way. Some people will take this part out. See this? This is it's actually connected to your gear arm, and when the gear's in neutral, it is in this position here, so it allows this to be pulled, and then if it goes in gear, it stops you from pulling the pull cord. See, it's just clicked in and it's kind of, you know, putting a bit of resistance on it. Anyway, let's see if we can do it without taking that mechanism apart. So that's one little bolt out, and now time to get this out. Ooh. Oh, that's got a nice bit of grease in from factory, I expect. Let's pop that out there, and now this little clip comes out. Yeah, lovely. Very mucky, this job, but no, it's not really, to be honest with you. Now I've got to see if this part lifts. Oh, also I need to take this off, so undo the knot, thread that through there, and that's just to make things a lot easier for you. So let's just do that now. I need two hands, so apologies, let me just get this off. Right, so lifting this off, might need two hands on this, as always. Also, I think that is locking into it, so I need to push that back, lift this off. One sec. There we go, look, there's the old spring, and can you see that part there is supposed to be hooked onto something. Yeah, it's come off its little, to come out of where it needs to be. But I can't see where it's supposed to click on. That's a better view. See that? It's come out. It's meant to be hooked onto somewhere. But I can't see where at this point in time. Hopefully this is going to be a quick fix. Looks like we might get away with not having to uncoil the spring, he says. What the hell? Okay. Okay guys, so we're very lucky here. As I mentioned before, the spring's already coiled up. I've just got to drop this back in so that the hook here ends up about here in this position here, and kind of like, let's do it with my thumb, hooked around that way. So when we spin it anti-clockwise, it should pick up the lug, should pick up this hook, and then it should feed it all the way around. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the tension on it, and then we're going to feed the cord through the guide. Where's the guide? The guide is gone. Here it is, the guide. And then get the rope out that way, out this side of, getting ready to, we're going to let this recoil basically and coil the rope back inside. But before we do that, we need to get that on so that we don't get to this point and then all of a sudden have to try and put this on. So we're going to try and put that on when it's plenty of rope outside there. We're going to use these little vice grips just to hold the rope, stop the rope from pulling, recoiling on here. But yeah, the next trickiest bit is getting this on here. So I'm going to flip that over, like I said, try and get the hook so it lands about here. So straight away it should bite onto that other hook, and then we'll do the little cup up, but not too tight because you need it to spin still. So that's just, trial and error as to the tightness of that cup. Anyway, let's try and do this then. Right, I've come across a problem. You might be able to see that it's got a bit of a kink in it there. So when I'm twisting it around, the hook is kind of missing it. So this should be touching there really for the hook to actually catch. So I might have to get the old needle nose pliers, whatever you want to call these bad boys, get it in there and just kind of try to bend it a tiny bit so that it starts touching the plastic, this center bit here. Yeah, so trial and error this one. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue to resolve. So yeah, let's get in there and start bending it. Sorry you didn't see that, but I can confirm I've got it now. There's some tension on this. I've just dropped it down and it's caught the hook. So yeah, I need to continue to rotate this. This mechanism down here, yeah, I should have removed that really, but it just means I need to get my fingers under there and make that little lever push that way so I can rotate this. So yeah, I need to be an octopus to do this job, I think. Let's just put the camera down a sec. Okay, interesting. So I can't remember if I said, but you need to obviously pop this cap back on before you start the winding, just so that it doesn't all jump back out at you, basically. You don't need to do it on too tight. And also you need to get this pin in first. So lay that on top, lay the pin on top, make sure the pin is threaded through there. And then you just get this, line up these lugs, pop it in one end of the pin, so one end is actually hugging it. Actually, it looks like it's unseated, this pin actually, so I need to try and get this pin back onto, the sleeve of this cup. That's definitely going to need to happen. But anyway, what you need to do at this point where you've got it all on and you've spun it anti-clockwise to the point where it actually just kind of stops and you can't do any more because there's too much resistance. That's the point where you get the rope, which hopefully, if you've done it like me, it should be in this little gap here as you've been winding. When you wind, make sure you don't wind the rope in. The rope has to stay unwound, and the idea is it recoils at this point. But yeah, you thread your rope through the guide there, out through the little hole, so then you're back at this side of the motor, and then you get yourself some of these pliers just to stop it recoiling at this point. Get your actual pull handle and then do your little knot, and then you should be ready to go. Just ease it through gently, I think, at first. I'm a little bit concerned at this point that you might need a few more turns, but as I mentioned, it got to a point where it was really stiff. However, I hadn't really clocked that the cup had unseated the clip, so maybe that's why it was, it kind of jammed up a bit. Who knows? It's on pretty loose, so it's nothing to do with that's been on too tight or anything. But what I'm going to do is just get this clip back on there and see if we've got any, if that changes any of the resistance. Yeah, and if it doesn't, and it doesn't do anything, I'm just going to let that recoil back in and we should be home and dry. If not, I'm not going to do this knot too tight, so we can do this stage again if we have to tweak anything. Anyway, here we go. Just going to, like I said, get that back on the cup. Get the pin back on the cup. So at this stage, underneath this cup, make sure it's all well greased up, especially inside the actual under here and then inside the component underneath. Worth mentioning, I've flipped this pin around. I don't know if you can you see that part coming just there? Because it was the other way around before, that pin that comes this way, that bit of metal, that was actually forcing, it was actually able to go down, and then I think it was getting jammed in this bit of plastic somehow. So I've just flicked it round, so hopefully now once we tighten this down a bit, it shouldn't ping down. Don't know how to explain that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, I didn't think it would matter which way this pin went, but I'm going to try it like this now. Basically, make sure this cylinder is sat on the lugs correctly. Don't think it was fully on before. Anyway, all these things to look out for, guys. Okay, guys, so as discussed, I obviously got this seated properly, and then I thought, well, is it going to give me another extra rotation? Has it loosened anything up? It hadn't. I kind of span it round one more time, and it got to about this notch here where the string was coming out. It got to about here, and I thought, oh, I don't want to force it anymore, because, you know, who knows what's going on under here with the spring. That might have been what popped it last time. The person before me might have, well, maybe from factories, probably from factory, right? They do it up so tight that potentially if this over rotates because you're pulling on the string, on the rope, you know, a bit too much, it has obviously got the tendency to pop the spring, and then you're in this situation, you've got to reload it. So what I've done is I went back to, I wound it, I let the resistance, so I let it recoil one turn. So now we've got a bit of space to play with in regards to when you're pulling the rope. You know, there's going to be probably a bit less rope potentially, but that's all going to be finalised once I've got the handle on. But anyway, I'm waffling. I don't know if any of that made sense, but this part actually I thought it'd be a good idea to show you how to feed this through here. So number one, get the lighter, burn your little end, get it to like a bullet shape if you can. Use like I don't know, a pair of pliers once it's all, you know, wet and sticky from where it's been burnt. So obviously don't touch it because that's gonna be really hot. But yeah, to feed it through, just make sure that you pop it through into this hole, right? And then what I found is good to do, so it's going to be impossible, isn't it, to show you? Hang on. Well, twist this rope here so it goes hard. Let's put it on here, hang on. So twist that so it goes hard, keep twisting it, and then when it gets hard you can kind of push it in. Do you hear that squeaking? It's kind of going in. And turn this one the opposite way to the rope. As you're twisting the rope that way, you kind of twist this one on like this. Just keep doing it, pinch it really tight at that point, spin this around, and there you go, she's through. And that's the shape, that's what I was working with. The end part just came off because it was a bit crusty. Anyway, got to tie a knot in that now. I'm not going to do the knot too tight because I want to see how much rope recoils. Hopefully all of it recoils, but look how much rope there is there. I mean, there's probably 1.5 meters there. You don't need 1.5 meters rope to pull your engine, but hopefully that recoils enough for me to, you know, do a knot, and, you know, I want it to be sat flush, so it looks like it's, you know, factory. Yeah, okay, let's let these grips off, and I'm going to slowly let this recoil because you don't want it to spin around too fast and unseat the spring or anything. So I've done my knot there. not too tight, and I'm just with my fingers, like, you know, controlling the resistance basically, so this doesn't spin around too fast. Oh, feels like we're going to have plenty. Oh yeah, I can adjust at this point. I can put the knot where it previously was by the looks of things. So what I'm going to do first is put the knot in the end first and then undo that knot. Yeah, at this point I'm going to try and get those grips where my fingers are pinching it now, so that we've got access to this knot a bit without any resistance on it. Right, we're home and dry, boys. Might just put a tiny bit more on this screw. It doesn't need to be over tightened at all. It needs to be free enough for this to have not too much friction on it, so it needs to spin obviously. It feels all right actually. I might just hand tighten it rather than, you know, just get it on there. And oh yeah, about there I think. Give it a little pull just to see. Yeah, that's rotating nicely. I mean, all of these parts might have contributed to why it was so tough to pull in the first place. Someone might have done that part up too tight. There was plenty of grease in there, as you saw, but also it could well have been, you know, the pistons and the cylinders, you know, maybe a tiny bit of surface rust on them. Anyway, guys, I hope that's helped everyone out. It's easy to get this back on. I'm not going to show you the reassembly. It's pretty straightforward. It's just in reverse of what we done to begin with. Yeah, if you like that video, give us a quick like. A quick thumbs up, a subscribe if you want to stay around and catch any more of my future videos. Fingers crossed there won't be much more to do on this outboard. I've got a funny feeling I might have to tinker around with the carburetor a little bit, but fingers crossed we're going to get some fuel in it and give this recoil, give this a pull, and should be smoother, fingers crossed. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.